step closer to universal pre-K.
I think one of the things that we assume is that preschool is free. It is not.
Tonight, we're giving you an in-depth look at a new law giving parents 10 free hours of preschool every week and the impacts it'll have on teachers.
Keep an eye on your mailbox. Colorado taxpayers are getting some money back.
This is the type of relief in general that Coloradans expect that their state government deliver on.
Why you'll be seeing $400 from the state, and why critics say it's just an election ploy.
Keeping drugs from getting to your street.
You never know who's going to be in your house, who's going to grab them.
As lawmakers debate fentanyl legislation, the simple action you can take to make sure unused pills don't make it into the wrong hands.
Your child's education, the fentanyl crisis, and $400 back in your hands.
Tonight, we are bringing you in-depth coverage on what's been a very busy Monday in Colorado politics.
We start with your child's education. Today, Governor Polis signed into law a bill giving parents 10 free hours per week of preschool education for their child.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is in the newsroom breaking down what this new law means for families and teachers. Colette?
Yeah, for families, it could be the difference between getting their kids into preschool or not. But for teachers, this new program means there needs to be more emphasis on recruiting people to those jobs and making sure they're paid enough to stay. Kim Manning-Ursetta has been teaching for almost 3 decades.
And we did a tasting session.
Her preschool classroom empty at the end of the school day.
It's great to see like that light go off.
But it's full of reasons she loves her job.
If you think about it, every profession depends on teachers.
Governor Jared Polis signed a bill into law giving families 10 hours of universal pre-K every week at no cost to parents starting in the fall of next year.
It really is just heartbreaking to see a student and a parent that has to pull out of preschool due to cost.
An expensive reality.
I have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 9-month-old.
Speaker of the House Alec Garnett can understand.
For having 2 kids in pre-K, it was about $3,500 a month. It's more than our mortgage.
Supporters of the legislation say it'll save families more than $4,000 a year.
The preschool in Denver, in general, is about $14,000 a year.
Elsa Olguin is with the Denver preschool program. They help with tuition support through sales taxes.
For a lot of families, it means they can go back to work.
She estimates around 40% of Colorado 4-year-olds are in preschool right now. But with this new law, she thinks it could jump to 75%.
We need to recruit a lot more teachers, and we need to pay our teachers.
Something educators have been saying all along.
So that we can keep them in here so that we have enough teachers for our kids.
With Ursetta hoping one day to see full-time pre-K for every child in Colorado. To help pay for the preschool, Colorado voters passed a measure in 2020 to increase taxes on nicotine products. The law will also create a new department, which will oversee that preschool program, along with other childhood development programs. In the newsroom, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Colette, thank you very much. Now, there are multiple studies that show there are real benefits to preschool education. Research has linked it to more academic success later on, higher high school graduation rates. One study even found those who attended preschool were less likely to get arrested or be unemployed as adults.
Now to that money you will see back in your wallet. Today, Governor Polis announced every Colorado taxpayer will receive a $400 check in the mail. Joint filers will receive $800. This is called a Taxpayer refund, and this happens when the state collects more money than it's allowed to spend. Now, Governor Polis says he wants to speed up the process to get those funds to Coloradans faster.
We know that this last year has been difficult. Rising prices, gas at $4 a gallon, groceries costing more. And rather than sit on this money, we know that $400 will help people now.
Republicans are blasting Polis and Democrats for taking credit for this refund. They say Democrats have opposed Taxpayer refunds in the past, only to tout today's development as a success.
Do I want the taxpayers to have more money in their pockets? Absolutely. But I see this $400 refund as political pandering in a political year.
Well, checks should arrive at your home in either August or September.
All right, and now to fentanyl. After weeks of debate, legislation aimed at curbing the crisis in Colorado now is advancing to the Senate. The bill passed the House today, and it focuses on tougher penalties for dealers. It makes possession of even 1 gram of fentanyl a felony. It also requires offenders to enter treatment and funds harm reduction tools like test strips and naloxone. And as we mentioned, this bill came with a lot of debate. Critics, including law enforcement, argue that possession of any amount of fentanyl should be a felony. Others worry it will punish people struggling with addiction and will lead to more people being in jail. House Speaker Alec Garnett agrees the bill's not perfect, but says Colorado has to act now.
No one wants to criminalize substance use disorders. No one wants to criminalize people who are suffering from the disease of addiction. But at the same time, fentanyl is so deadly that we have to do everything we can to help get the pills off of the street.
A fierce debate over the bill is expected in the Senate as well. Now, it has its first Senate committee hearing later this week. Lawmakers will have to hurry, though. This legislative session is scheduled to adjourn May 11th.
And as lawmakers debate how to address the growing fentanyl crisis, doctors are urging Coloradans to do what they can now to prevent drugs from reaching the streets.
Denver 7's CB Cotton explains tonight that includes going through your own medicine cabinet.
I did another drug education event for the community so they could really understand, what we were looking at. And one of the things I found was people didn't really understand what drugs were.
But Jason Good does understand because he heavily used drugs in his early 20s.
My first addiction was to cocaine.
But after knee surgery, Good found a new high with opioids.
I had a pretty minor surgery and I was given high dose hydrocodone. And then from there, they prescribed me oxycodone. I was rummaging through my parents' medicine cabinet and found an entirely unused bottle of Vicodin. I was like, well, there we go. I can just continue that way. And that helped me dive further into the land of opioid addiction.
A place that others will venture to via the medicine cabinet, which is why this coming Saturday, National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, is so important to him.
Leaving them just around unused, it's just making them available for the taking.
Actually, this is by far one of the most important things that we can do as a community in order to try to curtail this opiate epidemic.
Dr. Robert Page, a professor with the University of Colorado Schools of Pharmacy and Medicine, says when people take opioid prescriptions, natural endorphins are released, which leads to a euphoric feeling. And over time, people become tolerant and need more. Good remembers all too well.
After a while, I had a habit that was costing me nearly $500 a day. And that made the transition into heroin.
Countless others make similar transitions, Page says. When prescriptions run out or become too expensive, people look to dealers online or on the streets.
There are people that are now synthesizing these synthetic street drugs that can be up to sometimes 500 times more potent than morphine. And that are 5 times more potent than fentanyl for that matter. And so it becomes very, very, very dangerous.
But this weekend, Page and his colleagues hope to stop the deadly cycle before it starts. CU Anschutz Medical Campus is just one location in the state where people can drop off their unused prescriptions, no questions asked.
Let's get rid of these pills.
As for Good, he's been clean for over a decade, and he hopes others will heed his warning about the dangers of unused pills.
You never know who's going to be in your house, who's going to grab them.
CB Cotton, Denver 7.
National Drug Take-Back Day is this Saturday, and there will be multiple drop-off locations around this area. You can find a link to the list of locations right now at thedenverchannel.com.
New tonight, we're getting our first look at body camera video showing the arrest of State Representative Matt Gray. The Broomfield Democrat was arrested last Thursday on suspicion of DUI. According to a police report, Gray was picking his kids up from school when staff noticed he smelled like alcohol. While talking with police, Gray insisted he had not been drinking, but was having mental health issues.
When I have anxiety and depression, I suffer from symptoms.
Okay. What kind of symptoms?
Exactly what you see right now.
Now, as officers took Gray into custody, he mentioned knowing the district attorney, but asked not to be treated differently.
You should know I'm friends with the DA from the 17th.
Okay. Right.
I don't know how far we're getting on that. I don't know where the charges are going to go.
Listen, man.
Just know Brian Mason is my friend, professionally. Not I'm not saying... I am very explicitly saying don't do anything that you would do differently. I'm very explicitly saying that.
Gray previously worked as a deputy district attorney for the 17th Judicial District. In a statement today, the office said it was recusing itself from the case and that it would be handled by the 31st Judicial District Attorney in Jefferson County. We should point out the police report shows Gray refused to take any blood or breath tests. Denver 7 has reached out to Representative Gray for comment. So far, we have not heard back. Gray's next court date is scheduled June 8th.
Denver Water says water service has been restored after Sunday's water main break in the Berkeley neighborhood. Crews were back out today near 45th and Perry, helping homeowners remove all the water and mud from their basements. And we got a tour of one of the flooded basements. Look at this. Broken glass and debris and so much mud. We even saw mud on the ceiling, showing just how high that water rose. 2 streets over, Stacy Bramer watched in shock as water poured into her basement.
Emotionally, mentally, super stressful. I'm still kind of in shock. Flooding was the last thing I'd imagine happening here.
Now, Denver Water says still trying to figure out what caused this. For how the agency is helping homeowners, crews are passing out brochures saying Denver Water will pay for water mitigation and even the deductible for damaged cars.
Had some showers on the radar earlier today. I'll let you know if there's any significant rain or snow coming up this week.
Helping those in unfamiliar surroundings.
Ukraine has been like something that's really upset me, to be honest.
How these Colorado students are going the distance to help Ukrainians forced to leave their homes.
Plus, at long last, we are getting our first look at Russell Wilson in a Broncos uniform.